Welcome to the TMC Newsroom. Rich Tehrani here, coming to you from Interop 2012 in Las Vegas, Nevada. On our program is Marcus Kingsley, who's the CEO of NetSupport. Marcus, welcome to the show.
Good morning, Rich. Good to be here.
So I thought we'd start off by just discussing what NetSupport does.
Sure. Well, we're a software developer. We have 8 software solutions geared towards both the corporate and the educational space. Here, obviously, it's very much a corporate-focused event, so we're primarily promoting our PC remote control product, NetSupport Manager, as well as our enterprise asset management suite, a modular inventory solution, which integrates with our web-based service desk, help desk tool, ticketing solution. So three main features or 3 main products, and for us, really, the main focus is on the PC remote control.
Okay, so many people are familiar with PC remote control, but I'm just going to ask as a general question for viewers that are watching, what pain would you take away for your potential customers? So why would they want to call you?
It's about efficiency gains. As you say, the remote control market is relatively mature. We've been in business now 22 years. We have about 10 million licenses out across 45 regions. So it's not exactly new technology, but the devil's in the details. So you have different types of remote control. You have the point and click, screen sharing, web-based tools, and that's fine for those individuals who maybe have forgotten a file at home and need to connect back in quickly, or they're having a particular problem and connect to a help desk operator. But for us, we take it that one step further. It's a permanently installed client that resides on each desktop. And it includes not just the traditional remote control elements, but also desktop management. So we take the view, let's say you have a typical support call come into the help desk, I've got a problem with my device. Typically the first 5 minutes of that phone call is really based on the user explaining what's wrong with their machine, what are they seeing. And you can ask the perennial question, what have you done with your machine this morning? And of course they'll always answer, nothing, I haven't touched it. And we take the view, well, okay, that's fine, but let's maybe not believe the user, and let's include things like a hardware and software inventory. So we can take a quick snapshot, we know exactly what's on that device at that moment in time, and we can see obviously that, well, maybe you may have forgotten about that, but you happen to install this particular application this morning, and that's what's causing a conflict. So it's really a case of trying to be more efficient in the help desk, answer more calls, and remove that element of sneaker net. There are many companies out there, even given that the technology is mature, who will still, they receive a call and they'll get out their desk and they'll walk down a few flights of stairs or across to a different building to try and fix a problem. And that's inefficient. You therefore need more help desk personnel. They answer less calls. And our whole premise really is being able to have a streamlined support function, answering multiple calls without having to escalate further up the chain to take up more resources.
Do you think one of the reasons for that is that companies are worried about the additional application maintenance, or just having to put these apps on computers, and then they take up memory and they take up processor and they have to be upgraded? I mean, do you think that's part of the challenge?
It's possibly. I mean, it's a trade-off. As you say, you have the web-based solutions which are dynamically installed, so they're session-based, but by their very nature, inherently, they're not particularly robust. They don't have that functionality at the back end built into it, so then it's a trade-off. Well, do you forego a small client footprint residing on the PC going forward, in favor of having something that's not there but just dynamically installed when it's required? But then what about the resources you have to use in terms of the escalation process? Do you then have to send a help desk operator out to a remote site? Do you then have to navigate away from your point and click remote control to go to your inventory application, a different module, different console to check on what's inventory, what's on that machine? And of course that machine perhaps had a last inventory done late at night. It's not accurate, whereas with our type of solutions it's dynamic, it's a snapshot there and then, and it means that support calls are answered in half the time as a traditional call, and that's more efficient to the business and provides a good ROI.
It's worth mentioning that web-based apps also have to deal with the upgrades of their underlying technology, which could be Adobe Air, it could be Java, Flash, things like that also need upgrading. So you've got to deal with upgrades with the web-based solutions as well. So, but I'm sorry.
Yeah, there's also the issue of those web-based solutions very much require an attended mode. Somebody at the other end who either pushes a request to have help.
Yes,
and so for desktop management, there are lots of times where organizations need to push out certain updates or perform maintenance at a time that's best for the network performance, maybe late at night. So there isn't going to be anybody in attendance mode at the other end on a web-based tool.
Sure.
Whereas with us, we have the ability to remotely log on, to reboot the machine, also using the appropriate security protocols, but they can perform network administration late at night when network traffic is low, and again, that's far more productive and efficient.
Now there's a trend towards tablets in the data center and data center managers dealing with the problems that they have from their tablets.
Yeah.
You see that? Are you addressing
Yeah,
that?
certainly. Of course, the iPad is the latest fad, of course, and it's gradually evolving itself into the enterprise. And I think there's still lots of question marks as to how those devices will be used. From a tablet point of view, we provide with our software. Again, it's multi-platform. So you have the Windows-based control. You're enabled then to control obviously any other Windows device, Linux device, Mac device. And Pocket PC and Windows Mobile, and we're seeing more and more. But of course, for us, it's not just a tablet issue. It's for example, here in Las Vegas with McCarran Airport, they have a small CE device that's installed on all of the departure and arrival screens. And we're able to go and connect to those and to allow them to remotely control and update those machines. If they didn't have that, they'd be walking around with a step ladder, going up to each of those and taking the back off and trying to fix it. And again, it's about its labour saving. We have lots of police forces using it. They have laptops in their cars and tablet devices. They need to be able to connect. Sure. And with our functionality, we have the gateway where you can connect via HTTP, so you can connect to your mobile user base without, again, taking away efficiency. In the past, those police operators have an issue with their tablet device. They have to come back to the station to fix it. They're off duty. You're not getting maximum return from that individual's work.
Now, question about auto rebooting. I would imagine that most of the devices you're using don't necessarily need auto rebooting, or if they do, it's not something that you guys or your company would address, right? That would be a separate product where it would be kind of like a power cycle in case a machine gets locked?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, we do have the auto reboot functionality on there, and we have an element of power management, but that's typically is a slightly add-on solution that's not really within our realm.
And it could be for a server or something, generally for servers and things like that.
Exactly, that's the area.
I thought it was worth mentioning. So what's next for the company?
Well, we see more and more, say, the evolution of the mobile device and the iPad support. We really need to see actually how, in the technical field, you'll be using iPads, whether it's a case of it's a fad, and the reality is, at the moment, the OS is quite limited from the client end, so there's not much that we can do. Until that opens out a bit more, then we would imagine that that's the route we'll take in terms of providing extended support. We're seeing here at the show all the issues with mobility management, virtualization, and we just plan to carry on pushing that, as well as enhancing some of the security issues. We've seen in recent weeks with perhaps PC Anywhere would have had unfortunate issues in terms of leakages with their source code for the PC Anywhere application. And so a lot of people now are concerned about security. When you're talking about connecting to remote devices, which have a lot of sensitive information on there, security has to be the #1 consideration. And we're one of the only solutions that meet PCI compliancy. We have the dual authentication issues, we have the audit trails, so it's very much for us as adding to our security elements to it.
Excellent. Thanks so much for being here today.
A pleasure, thank you.